Dear colleagues, you are all very welcome here today for the launch of the high-level forum on Justice for Growth, and I thank each and every one of you for your attendance and participation. It is my privilege to commence this broad strategic reflection process where you, our main stakeholders, can help us to develop ideas for our future policy work. As highlighted in the competitiveness compass, Europe needs to act now to regain its competitiveness and secure its prosperity. I think there is a broad consensus of the need to do this. The competitiveness compass responds to the Draghi report's call for the EU to close the competitiveness gap with other major economies, including by reducing administrative burden on businesses. The Letta report also highlighted how regulatory simplification and reduced regulatory burden are key to removing barriers in our single market. Addressing these priorities is the very reason why I have launched this high-level forum on Justice for Growth. This morning I invite us all to focus on and discuss together how justice policies can contribute to and further support European competitiveness and growth. I've chosen the format of a high-level forum because it allows us to bring together the broadest range of relevant stakeholders and to have open and future-oriented discussions. Today we have all the parties around the same table: the European Parliament, the Council, Member States' authorities and key stakeholders at European level, representing companies and social partners, justice stakeholders, professional organisations and consumers. In our discussions, we should aim to build upon the recently adopted European Council conclusions on competitiveness, the strategic guidelines for legislative and operational planning within the area of freedom, security and justice, as well as relevant Council work, such as the Council conclusions on competitiveness through civil justice. And I invite you to treat these as a point of departure, while also allowing our discussions to enjoy a wide scope. I believe that simple and modern common rules in civil law, company law and corporate governance, as well as the further digitalisation of justice, can substantially reduce administrative and legal costs for businesses. Indeed, this is a message that I have already frequently heard since I became Commissioner. And we already know that there are many ways we can contribute to enhancing the competitiveness of the European economy. Allow me to start with the justice area. Studies have shown how independent, efficient and effective justice systems contribute to a thriving investment and a business environment. It also comes as no surprise that companies invest more in countries where the rule of law is consistently upheld. After all, companies that engage in cross-border trade in the EU depend on clear rules and they want legal certainty. In terms of civil law, legal certainty and predictable rules are crucial components of a functioning internal market, since they ensure stability for businesses and consumers in cross-border commercial transactions. In case of legal disputes, the parties need to know which court is competent and which law applies. They also need to trust that decisions issued in one member state can be recognised and enforced in another member state. Company law and corporate governance are also key levers in my portfolio for providing companies with a competitive and business-friendly legal environment. And providing this business environment is an aim of the future 28th regime, which I will turn to later on in the morning. In terms of corporate governance, we will consider how EU corporate governance rules through digitalisation, simplification and harmonisation could contribute to making the EU a more attractive investment destination for both EU and non-EU investors. This in turn will foster innovation and growth, and this could be done through the facilitation of shareholder engagement and the exercise of shareholder rights. Finally, in relation to the digitalisation of justice, the Digitalisation Regulation now provides a new legal framework on the use of digital communication channels for the purposes of judicial cooperation and on the use of video conferencing for cross-border hearings. But at this forum, I invite you to look beyond the existing digitalisation regulation and to reflect on what more we could do to make justice more efficient and to reduce costs. With this aim in mind, I also invite you to tap into the enormous growth potential offered by AI. I pledged during my hearing in the European Parliament that I would seek the views and advice of our main stakeholders when developing policies within my area of responsibility. And in all of these topics, I am genuinely keen to listen to and indeed to learn from you. Today marks the start of our joint reflection process, with 3 further meetings to be organised this year. Under our overarching goal to boost European competitiveness, we will discuss potential non-legislative and legislative initiatives. In preparing our work, we will be supported by discussion papers focused on concrete questions prepared during technical meetings. This is so that by the time we meet at the end of the year, we will be able to discuss the overall conclusions of this high-level forum as a basis for shaping our common vision for the next 5 years. Today we will start with the topic of competitiveness by focusing on the 28th regime and simplification. We will then continue with a discussion on the need to modernise 2 very important civil law legal acts, the Brussels 1A and Rome II regulations. And we will also discuss the need to envisage EU legislation on third-party litigation funding. In June, we will reconvene to discuss the digitalisation of justice and develop more in-depth discussions on company law, focusing on the 28th regime and corporate governance. So before passing back to the Director General, I would like to thank you again for being here in person with us today. I look forward to what will be, no doubt, an interesting and enlightening discussion. I invite you again to share all of your expert insights as part of this reflection process. This is about sharing your views, and we are very much listening. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Commissioner McGrath, for your introductory remarks. Just another announcement that I have to make. These introductory words by the 3 speakers will be web streamed, and after the introductory session, we will stop the web streaming. Although the intervention of Commissioner McGrath will also be streamed, but there will not be web streaming during the Q&A, during the interventions of the floor. Let me now give the floor to Minister Bodnar. Please, you have the floor.